Hello everyone, welcome to Mastermind. In this video, let us discuss about CVC or Central Vigilance Commission. This will be important part of our General Studies paper 2 under Polity and Constitution. It will also be helpful in prelims. So, we have to understand the origin of this Central Vigilance Commission. So, let us start from the very basics. So, what happened is in 1962, India in 1962. At that point of a time, the Prime Minister was Lal Bahadur Shastri. Lal Bahadur Shastri. In order to look at the corruption practices in the central services and also to look at maladministration and detection of maladministration, Lal Bahadur Shastri at that point of a time had established a committee and it is known as K. Santhanam Committee. K. Santhanam Committee. And the purpose of this committee was to look at and to act for the prevention of corruption. Prevention of corruption. In order to give recommendations in order to prevent corruption. Now, who was K. Santhanam? K. Santhanam was previously Chief Justice of Punjab and Haryana High Court. And they were appointed as the chairman of this committee in 1962 in order to suggest a few measures in order to prevent corruptions or prevention of corruption practices in public life. K. Santhanam, they gave multiple changes to be made in order to observe the corruption practices which were going on. So in that first one was to establish anti-corruption laws. To establish anti-corruption laws. Second recommendation was complete 1 year monitoring of all the procurement, all the construction and all the things which went into maintenance of buildings. So the files related to all of these had to be monitored in order to go to the grassroots level of the corruption or in order to prevent the corruption. Also, they had mentioned loan and financial assistance which is related to file monitoring, that also had to be monitored in order to ensure that the private entities are not gained. So if the private entities are gained, that means the private entity might have paid someone in the services in order to give them priority. So that recommendation also was given by Santhanam committee. Also, they had mentioned about private profits, very important. They had mentioned about private profits, that is limitation of private profits which are obtained by public workers. How are the private profits? Either the private profits may be in the form of loan or any other financial help or the financial companies, etc. And last recommendation was the committee referred to study certain concerns which are not covered. Certain concerns which are not covered in the previous times. So on this recommendation, on these basis only, CVC was established. CVC was later established, which is Central Vigilance Commission. Central Vigilance Commission was established on that basis only. So it recommended the creation of Central Vigilance Commission, and this Central Vigilance Commission will be the apex vigilance institution in order to look at the cases committed against central government employees, central government officials. You can call it as central government officials, and it has to be autonomous body. So this is how Central Vigilance Commission originated. So what is a Central Vigilance Commission? Central Vigilance Commission, it is the agency for prevention of corruption. Agency for prevention of corruption. It was established in 1964 on the basis of which committee? On the basis of K. Santhanam committee. On the basis of K. Santhanam committee. So on the basis of K. Santhanam committee, CVC was established in 1964 and it is the apex agency for prevention of corruption. Now, the type of body we did not mention. What is the type of body? Is it a statutory body? Is it an executive body? Or is it a constitutional body? That we did not mention. So what had happened is, initially when it was established by executive resolution. It was established by executive resolution. But in 2003, the Central Vigilance Commission bill was passed. Central Vigilance Commission bill was passed by both the houses, and even President gave their assent on 11th September 2003. After which it became a statutory body. Statutory body. Okay. So what is CVC? CVC is a statutory body now. Next, we have to look at the composition of Central Vigilance Commission. Central Vigilance Commission consists of Central Vigilance Commissioner, Central Vigilance Commissioner, and not more than two, Vigilance Commissioners. There will be maximum of 2 Vigilance Commissioner, and there will be 1 Central Vigilance Commissioner. Now, who appoints these Central Vigilance Commissioner and Vigilance Commissioners? So they are appointed by President. They are appointed by President. And who recommends the name to the President? The names are recommended by 3-member committee. This is recommended by 3-member committee. And what is the 3-member committee? The 3-member committee is headed by Prime Minister, you have Home Minister, and you have Leader of Opposition from Lok Sabha. So this is the 3-member committee which is headed by Prime Minister. They will recommend the name to President, and President appoints the Central Vigilance Commissioner and Vigilance Commissioners, and they are appointed by President by warrant under his hand and seal. Now, these Central Vigilance Commissioner or commissioners can be removed from the post. Under these circumstances. So there are 5 circumstances under which they can be removed from the post. The first one is if they are adjudged as insolvent. If they are adjudged as insolvent, that is adjudged in the sense if a court gives a proceeding, okay, or one of these conditions, that is why we are mentioning it as or. If they are convicted of an offense in which, in the opinion of central government, it involves moral turpitude. I'll just write it as offense. If there is offense which involves moral turpitude. Now, if they involve in a paid employment outside their duties as Office of Central Vigilance Commissioner or Vigilance Commissioners, if they are involved in paid employed outside, even then they can be removed. Next one is if he is unfit to continue in the office by the reason of infirmity of mind or body, and if it is proved like that. Or last one is if he has acquired financial or other interest outside. If any of these conditions are fulfilled, then they can be removed. In addition to these, the President also has the authority to remove these Central Vigilance Commissioner or any Vigilance Commissioners if there is a proved misbehavior. So what happens here is most of these compositions and the termination procedures which are there, right? All these have to be studied in comparison with other bodies or other commissions as well. Then it will be easier for us. For example, the different thing in this is that about second condition, which is if he has been convicted of any offense on which involves moral turpitude. So similar things we have to be seeing for other commissions or other bodies, then it will be easier for us to remember for examination. Now we saw what is Central Vigilance Commission, we saw the composition and who appoints them also we saw, and also we saw what is the removal procedure or who on what basis they can be removed. Now the most important thing is about the functions. Now, if there are any complaints against public servant, public servant on the basis of corruption, on the basis of corruption, okay, under the Prevention of Corruption Act of 1988, then CVC will conduct an inquiry or investigation, as it is a agency or a body which is for prevention of corruption. This has to be the first function. This is the first one. Second one is, first one what we saw, it is if there are complaint against a public servant of being an employee of central government or its authorities has committed an offence under Prevention of Corruption Act. That is, if there are any corruption charges against public servant, then the inquiry or investigation is made by CVC. Next condition, if there are corruption charges against following two criterias. One, if the members of all India services, if the members of all India services of the union and group A, if there are corruption charges against them, then also the investigation or inquiry can start. Second one, for the specified officers, for the specified officers against them, the inquiry or investigation might start. Now, specified level of officers, who specifies this? This is specified again by central government only. This is specified again by central government. Third one is, it also gives directions to CBI. It also gives direction to CBI, that is a Delhi Special Police Establishment, which is CBI, if there is any investigation going on related to corruption. So anything which is related to corruption and which involves central government employees, then CVC comes into picture. CVC also has the power to review the progress, of investigation which CBI is doing, if that investigation involves corruption practices. So they can review the progress also of the cases. Next, if there are any corruption charges, and the case or the application is pending, if the case or application is pending, then also on that the review of the progress can be sought by Central Vigilance Commission. Other than that, if there are any references which is given, if there are any advice which is asked by central government, those also are given by Central Vigilance Commission. They also undertake a case, or they can also start an inquiry into the complaints which are received under the public interest disclosure and protection of informers resolution, and they also can recommend appropriate actions. Now, the very important function of CVC, this we have to remember. What we have seen, that Central Vigilance Commission has Central Vigilance Commissioner plus 2 Vigilance Commissioners, correct? Plus 2 Vigilance Commissioner. What it has Central Vigilance Commissioner, which is a chairperson, and there are 2 Vigilance Commissioners. Along with these, there are secretaries who are working. Along with these, there are secretaries. Then there is a Director of Personnel and Training and Director of Revenue, Minister of Finance, etc. These all are part of a selection committee. What is this committee related to? This selection committee recommends to the central government who has to be the director of enforcement. So whatever we see, ED or Enforcement Directorate, the director of enforcement is selected, is appointed on the basis of this selection committee, and this selection committee consists of CVC and CVC, which is Central Vigilance Commissioner or Chairman, plus 2 Vigilance Commissioners. This selection committee, along with Director of Enforcement, they recommend the officers for the appointment of Deputy Director of Enforcement. So, which are related to these corruption and also other malpractices, all these things are directly related to CVC, because they are the topmost or the apex body when it comes to prevention of corruption. Now, most importantly, what is the jurisdiction of CVC? They have, they can inquire into the, they extend to the All India services of Group A officers, then officers of the rank of scale, scale 5 and above in the public sector banks, and officers of grade D, officers of grade D and above in Reserve Bank of India, in Reserve Bank of India, NABARD, SIDBI, etc. So, in other words, you can say that central government employees, and also the employees which are recommended by central government itself. That is why we have seen the specified section. Now, CVC has its headquarters in New Delhi, and it has all the powers to regulate its own procedure, and it has the powers of a civil court. It has powers of civil court, and its proceedings have the judicial character. So these are some of the important points with respect to CVC which you have to remember. There are other points. For example, there is amendment which happened after the Lokpal Act. Then there is Whistleblowers Protection Act, etc. All these acts have been amending the CVC also, and also CBI timely. But these are some of the factual points with respect to CVC which you have to remember since the beginning. I hope you have understood about CVC. At the end of this e-paper, there are a few multiple choice questions for you to answer. You can attempt those. Thank you. I'll see you soon in the next one.